Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about climate clauses as a new area for serious consideration for zone investors and governments alike. And, I just recorded another episode and I had a tie on and I just took it off. It is another scorching hot day in Jamaica. And you just reminded of and we haven't hit summer yet. We just reminded that climate change is very much real and realer, if you want to put it that way, for some of us, particularly in the islands, in terms of coastal erosion and other effects that we're feeling from day to day. So this topic is very much one that is on point, given the temperature of the day. But this thing popped up, largely inspired by the Barbadian Prime Minister Mia Mottley, and although her and the Bridgetown Initiative, which is focused on debt reduction within particularly developing countries, and in certain clauses for repayment in it that take account of certain disasters, say hurricane comes or earthquake, God forbid, that the payments are paused, and to allow the country to recover. And this of course is not just imposed like that. It's negotiated, and both sides are have inputs in it. So this is how this was inspired, and thinking, yeah, we need something similar in terms of zones. And I remember during COVID, where you had right across the board, right across the world, moratoria on payments and all of these different things coming in, much of which had to be law, versus it being in contracts. And I'm just thinking about when an investor comes to the table and is negotiating arrangements with zones. And as I usually do, I explain what a zone is. A zone is a designated area designated by a government, whether by law, decree, regulation, so whatever it is. They declared a specific geographic area a zone, and declared that the rules that normally apply to the rest of the economy have been modified or don't apply to that area, and special incentives, tax incentives, fiscal incentives, maybe financial incentives, and non-fiscal incentives may apply to that. Typically, you see something like a reduced corporate income tax rate, maybe you get a break on land taxes, and duty free of your inputs into production and construction, etc., 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 etc. And zones come in many different forms and are called different names: free zones, SEZs, enterprise zones, enterprise area, foreign trade area, foreign trade zones. It depends on the country, but in essence, it's the same thing, right? Now, in terms of a climate clause, there are different ways that this could come in. One way is, of course, on rent. If you're renting from, and this becomes very interesting based on how the zone regime is structured. So, in some, the regulator and the owner are exactly one and the same as the government that you're renting from. And in that case, that clause would be in there, in terms of pausing your rent during that particular period. Of that's there's a declared emergency within the country. Another aspect could be, in terms of climate clauses, is whereby you sign up as part of a disaster response mechanism, whereby your company within the zone agrees to sell or supply certain items that you have in stock to the government, Um, and this is part of a program. The program, can be structured in different ways where, a little stipend is paid monthly to the company. Um, and then once that triggering effect or event, I should say, happens, state of national emergency has been declared, then those items then get shifted to local access versus being exported, given the national emergency. And in some cases, they may not be able to export anyway, because the port may be down or may be destroyed, or airport likewise. So there are different ways to work this in, and particularly there are different climatic events that can trigger these things: floods, heat waves, as we're experiencing right now. I don't think this is at the emergency level yet, but it's been very hot over several days now in Jamaica. Um, Forest fires could be. We saw what happened in Los Angeles, and Southern California there, unfortunately, in recent times. Um, Hurricanes in the Caribbean. We're getting to hurricane season already. We've already seen something form out there, which is very early, but and we're watching that. That's dissipated, but it's very early to be seeing such things. But these sorts of things are becoming more frequent, and we have to set up our commercial arrangements or legal arrangements in a way that or takes account of and also helps to mitigate against the risks associated with that. This is one of the ways that you can put into the contract some sort of climate clause that either waives the rent for a certain period, or lowers it. Once the disaster event happens and it's been declared as such. Another one is access to certain materials, certain goods that the government, or even the private sector within the local economies, it doesn't have to just be the government, it can be private sector. So certain things are diverted away from, say, the export markets into the local economy. And then once the disaster passes, or the declaration passes, you then shift back to normal operations. And this will actually help the overall, with the overall speedy recovery, getting things back to normal quicker and getting back to exporting, which is what drives most zones. So if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.